And look at that, it didn't drop a millimeter all around. Perfect. That's now like this for about nearly 24 hours, and it's still all the way up. It didn't drop a millimeter. Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. So if you watch the channel, you have seen the previous video on this car. If you haven't, I will leave a link in the description below. But the video was this video here, and we sorted one problem, and I was really happy thinking that was it for this particular problem, for the suspension. Unfortunately, it was not. So the car, 2007 Audi A8, I think this is called the D3 model, with the air suspension. That was the problem the car came with initially. Watch the video, the previous video, that will make all sense. So we resolved the problem where the suspension was dropping, and as I've just showed you, the car didn't move a millimeter for the last pretty much 24 hours. So I'm really happy to say that's been fixed. However, there is still a problem. So let me show you. So at this point, guys, I was thinking about go for a test drive, and I could show you exactly what the car does, how it happens, and all that good stuff. But to be honest, it's really pointless, because I can literally explain you within 5 minutes everything the car does, and I can explain you exactly what makes the fault to pop up, and I can also explain you my line of thinking and what I think the problem is. So to start with, let me see if this thing actually starts, because the battery has been a little bit on the poor side. It actually started fine. The car has some issues with glow plugs and some other stuff. But so the problem, as I have already kind of showed you, is suspension related. So at the moment there is no faults on the car, apart from that, that's the normal. But what the car does is the following. If I drive the car in that position, which is exactly where the car is at the moment, okay, if I drive on this position, I can drive around, no problems at all, no faults comes up, nothing. As soon as I try to bring the car to comfort, automatic or dynamic, what happens is, after, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, a minute of driving, the yellow thingy in there comes up, and some of the modes becomes grayed out, so I can't select some of the modes, and a fault pops up, and the fault that pops up is that fault in there. So level control upper limit exceeded, 01 400, and then it says 001, but it's 01 400. And after a little bit of digging around this, as I was testing the car last night, after repairing the other issue with the suspension, I went for a quick drive just to make sure, and that's when I've realized was still a problem. And I actually made some footage, but I believe I deleted that from the phone already, so I don't have that footage. It was dark, was not very good, the quality was really poor, yeah, it was not very good footage, and I've deleted it. But basically what is happening, guys, is the car lifted to the maximum where it is now, and now it doesn't drop. So that's why the car is throwing that fault in there. So I just went to check, and no, I don't have that footage from last night. But guys, that's exactly what the car does. So basically, if I try to run, just to recap, if I run the car, or if I drive the car with the suspension in that position, the car drives okay, because that's the position I have selected. If I try to select any other position where the car needs to lower, the car doesn't lower, and then obviously after about 30 seconds driving, maybe a minute, it comes up with that fault, and it comes up with that fault in there. So at the moment the fault, obviously this is a scan from yesterday. If I go there now, I don't know if I've cleared the fault or not, but it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to show you that the car doesn't drop, and what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to go outside. I'm going to select, let's say for example, automatic, which I believe the car should drop, because you're going to see that the arrow will come up. So if I select that, there we go, the car should drop. Let me just close the door. And what you're going to see, and actually it's good that I have the tape on here, because what you're going to see is that the car literally doesn't move. So this tape should now start to slack if the car was actually dropping. So as you can see, nothing happens. Still stretched. Still stretched. There we go. So the car should have dropped by now. The car should definitely have dropped by now. It's still asking to drop, as you can see in there. So usually when the car reaches the position it should, oh there we go, look, I didn't even need to go for a drive. I didn't realize it does this, so there we go. So it comes up with a fault, and all these modes now become inactive. As you can see, they are grayed out. You can't select them until I clear the faults, because the car never dropped from its original position, which is the lift position. So if I'm correct with my line of thinking, all these air suspensions, or majority of these air suspensions, they all work the same way. So they have a compressor, unless you work with the nitrogen ones, which is a closed system, which you just have a pump to pump the air from the reservoir to the struts and then back and forth. But that's a completely different system. But these systems, usually they just capture air from the outside. They compress that air and they send it to the struts. Usually there is also a small reservoir, but they all work the same way. And when they need to dump the air from the struts, there is a dump valve, and I have a feeling that's going to be my problem. I have a feeling that the dump valve is seized or whatever, and is not dumping the struts. So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is actually now if I come here, I'm going to be able to now scan the car and show you that the fault is the one I've just showed you in there, just in case if you guys have any doubts. I'll let it just load. We'll do a control module, because I know exactly which module I want. So I want the ride control system number 34. If I come to trouble codes, there we go, active and static. As you can see in there, 01400, level control system, upper limit exceeded. So that's it. I hope it makes sense what I'm explaining you. So this fault would come up if I was driving the car as well. Well, the way I was doing it yesterday was I was driving in lift mode, and then as I was driving I would just bring it to a different mode. Obviously now I can't select any mode because they are grayed out, but as I was driving around I would just go to like comfort, carry on driving. Within 30 seconds the fault would come on. If I would carry on driving lift mode, which is where the car is at the moment, the car would drive fine with no faults, because obviously it's in that position. And that's it really. So we're going to locate the pump, the compressor. We're going to probably remove the compressor, have a good look at it and try to fix it. If we need any parts we'll have to order them, but for now let's just investigate a little bit more and see if we find the issue. Put the car on the ramps, and I do believe the pump lives somewhere around there. I can hear it running somewhere around here. It's not on the engine bay. Already checked. So if it's not on the engine bay, I think it's going to be here somewhere. Now, I might take the wheel out, try to see if I can access it through the, when I take the wheel liner, the wheel arch liner. But I might be keen to remove the bumper because there is another issue with this car, which I don't think probably I'm going to record it. I don't know yet, with the parking sensors, which I've showed you on the previous video. And I don't know yet. I might just do, you know, just take the bumper and I'll do 2 jobs at once. Will be a little bit quicker. How could someone do this? Jesus, man. Okay, so let's get to the pump and see what we can do with it. And it looks like, unless I take, so that's the pump or the compressor, and it looks like unless I take the headlight off, doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to take it off from here. At least it doesn't look like. How am I gonna do this? I think I might bite the bullet and I'm just gonna take the bumper off. We're gonna do this. Let me think how we're gonna do this. So I think I'm about to remove the bumper. To remove the bumper, you have 2 bolts here. Well, most of this is all broken, but originally you're supposed to have 2 bolts here. Then you have 3 nuts right there at the back. Let me show on the other side because you can still see the studs probably. You can't really see them on this side, but you can see there is. So 1 stud there, 1 there, 1 there. The same on the other side. And you have 2 bolts here at the top. 1 there, and another one in there. And you have all these bolts here at the top. There. You need to take everything off, and I think I should be ready to pull these out. I'm gonna give it a go. Those things, I don't think you need to take them off, but my ones were just holded with a couple of screws, self-tapping screws like that. So I just pulled them out, and I think it's ready to attempt to pull the bumper. And there it is. Bumper is off. Literally, just as I explained. That's all you need to remove. In this case, with some screws underneath bolted to the radiator frame, plastic frame and stuff. This car has been in some sort of accident because there's a lot of stuff broken. But yeah, that's what you need to do to get to that. I'm just in the process of removing this, but just before that, I was just thinking if the dump valve is going to be on the block. Obviously, it's going to be a block that's going to, they all work the same way. That's going to activate or divert the hair to the different struts or airbags, and that lives in a completely different place. Some of you that knows the system, you might already know if it is or not. I'm gonna have to check, but the removing of the bumper was not a waste of time because that was actually good for the other video, as I said at the beginning, because I already found an issue in there. But the block lives right here, and I'm trying to understand. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're gonna have a, so, and then we're gonna have, one is gonna be the air pressure. So we have, so the air pressure looks like is the, are they all connected properly? Yes, they are. Everything's connected properly. Sorry guys, I'm not showing you anything. Hold on a second. That might be better. So they are all connected into the right color. So they are colored matched. And it looks like this is not even secured correctly. Don't know why. Don't even know where that's supposed to be secured. Not really sure. So we have, so I'm gonna guess, so this red one comes to here, the green goes to the other side. I've already checked it. Then we have 3 here. I don't know why 3. Why 3 to the back? It's going to be 1. That one is going to be for the rear left-hand side. Right-hand side, sorry. If you look from the rear of the car. That's probably for the other side. But what's the black for? So the brown looks like brown comes this way, so I'm gonna guess the brown is gonna be the pressure from the pump. I'm gonna have to look in there, see where that's coming from. So why, unless the black, why is the black, why 3 to the back? I don't understand this part. Why do we have 3 going to the back, to the inside of the car? So obviously, okay, let me think, let me try to investigate and go from there. Okay. Will it be this black one? Will it be the block that dumps the air? We'll have to investigate this a bit. Okay, so all figured it out, which actually makes sense, and I should know these things to be fair. So a quick download of the manual, and the way it works is, so the dump valves are all over there, and the way this works here is you have the brown, which is the pressure from the actually pump itself, and then you have I think is the purple one, which is the accumulator, and then black and blue are the rear struts. So the reason why you have 3 is because you have 1 for each strut and you have 1 for the accumulator. There is also a pressure sensor built in here, but I don't have any reasons to believe there is issues here. My issues are going to be over there, I think. So let's gonna pull this headlight, see if we can get to the pump, and try to figure out what's wrong with it. Pump is out. A little bit of a nightmare to take it off, because it looks like to actually remove this properly you need to take these off, but this is a one piece that goes all the way across the car, so I had to use some pliers to take one of the bolts from here, and but yeah, it's removed. Found a couple of things that I'm not very happy with. Here on the car's loom, one is down there, and second, which is actually on the plug that goes to the, which I think is that one, which is actually, yeah, is this one here, which goes to the exhaust valve. By the looks of it, I found this, so we're gonna have to, I don't know what happened here, but it was trapped or something like that, so we're gonna have to undo this. I don't think it looks like it's still connected, so it doesn't look like, but you never know. Gonna have to give a good look and do this and try to repair these wires. But for now, let's gonna test that dump valve, see if it's dumping okay, if it's working, etc., and then we'll go from there. So really simple, guys. So we do have temperature sensor here. This is just an aluminum thingy with the sensor built in. These bolts there, so the heat transfers from the pump to here, and that's this black plug, temperature sensor. Motor and dump valve. So the dump valve is this one here at the back, which is the one we're going to try to somehow remove and test. And are we barking at the wrong tree? Because this pump has been actually replaced 2019. So are we barking at the wrong tree? Has this been replaced? Try to fix this problem already. Let's gonna give you a test. So I did a quick test by blowing air through there and applying voltage here. So I put this plug in there so I can activate the dump valve. And I already know what the problem is. The problem is the valve itself is bugged. So we're gonna try to dismantle it, see if it can be fixed. But the valve looks like it's not releasing. So the valve has 2 positions. So the position where it is now, which is like the rest position, which is the position that allows the air, when the compressor runs, allows the air to come out. So I'm going to show you that. This is not the best of my setups, but hopefully will be enough to kind of show you this. Let me see if I can show you all of this. So you can see the gauge in there, and what I'm going to do, my power supply is really not enough for this, but it will be enough to run the motor for a little bit. So I'm going to put voltage on the wires for the pump. You're going to hear the pump running. Okay, and you can see, look, you see, putting pressure. Okay. Now when I put voltage onto these two wires for the dump valve, the air should just disappear. Okay, should just drop. And when I put, actually look at this, the valve is pulling 0.83 amps and it doesn't release the air. So if I now unplug this from there, for example, there we go, the pressure dropped because I opened the circuit. So there's something wrong with this dump valve, and we're going to try to figure out what it is. As you know me better, let's going to dismantle a little bit further and see if we find the problem. And there it is. Now the million-dollar question is, can we fix it? Let's try. And we are surely slowly getting somewhere. Right. Will I be able to take this spring off? Oops. Oops. Let's carry on. But it looks promising, guys. It looks promising. Right, I was trying to see if I would have a spring with the right diameter. Unfortunately, I don't, so we'll have to reuse the old one, which is already in there. There we go. So we'll have to reuse the other one. I've given it a good clean, and it doesn't look too bad. It's alright. When I put this finally, I will put some grease inside. And the way this works, guys, is when I remove this, I don't know if you've seen, this was all the way down. All the way down like that, yeah. So what this was doing was obviously sealing the exhaust. So the way this works is when the valve is at rest like that, is actually open to exhaust side, and then when the compressor wants to put pressure into the system, it pulls this back, seals the little opening that you can't really see it, that little opening at the bottom, which is the actually exhaust. So when this applies current, it pulls this back, closes the system, and the air is forced into the dumps, into the reservoir, etc. Then when he is supposed to release the valve, he releases the valve, seals the other end, and the air is forced to go and exhaust into the environment through here somewhere. I don't know, the exhaust somewhere here at the back, whatever. But obviously the reason why this was completely sealed all the time was because this valve was stuck back down, if you remember when I took it off. So what you're going to see now is that when I apply voltage to the coil, let me see if I can show you this. Obviously, because it's too further up, it's not going to pull this down, but as soon as I put it down, there we go, see? And now when I release, that's just going to jump. There we go. Okay, so it's working absolutely fine now. So we're just going to lubricate everything and start to put everything back together. I'm going to put some grease around here so this doesn't rust, I'm guessing. And we're going to try to see if we can put it back together quickly. See if we can test the car, maybe. Well, it's going to be a little bit tricky because I have the bumper out, and I'm going to start the next video on the parking sensors most likely. But guys, obviously just stay tuned. You're going to see now when we're going to put everything back on, and looks like we fixed the valve. Bimbo, that's it, and we saved a little bit of money. I would just like to point one thing while I'm putting the pump back into the bracket. is that whoever put this pump before was an absolutely idiot. So I don't know if you've seen back on the video. Go back on the video and watch it. I might take a picture to try to show you. But someone had these with the springs like this on the top, which means the pump was bolted into the bracket itself. The bracket is bolted to the frame of the car, so all the vibrations, all the noise would go through the car, rather than use like this. The spring is supposed to be on the underside, like so. So the pump kind of just floats on the springs. That's the way it's supposed to be. Someone just did exactly the opposite. Honestly, it's unbelievable what people do. Some people shouldn't be allowed to touch cars because they really don't know what they are doing. And guys, if you try to do this as a DIYer, just make sure you put everything back the same way as you was before. It's easy to do the mistakes. I do them as well sometimes, but I always try my best to go back. If I see I did a mistake, I go back and I rectify. That's the way you should do things. But leave it like this, that's a very bad thing. So we're going to put it right now with the springs on the underside, obviously, and let's carry on quickly. And unfortunately, one of the wires needs repairing. They're both still connecting, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see these ones. Some of the strands actually broke through. So obviously half of the wires are still connected, half of the strands, but we can't leave it like that. The other one just damaged a tiny bit in there, nothing major. And then this one here, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this. Not really sure what I'm going to do with this. Maybe just isolate this a little bit better, because the wire is still good. Or maybe, yeah, all the strands are still there. They're still quite good. Still, the only other way was to remove these and pin everything again. But I think if I maybe just cover this with some sealant, maybe that black stuff to prevent moisture, and then just isolate all of this, should last, I think. Don't see why not. But this one definitely needs fixing. So let's gonna fix this, and then, well, connect everything. There it is. This one is done. Wire was different, but doesn't matter. So this one is done, and this one is what I said to you. So I covered that with this black sealant, and now I'll show you in the end. Now I'm going to tape everything with cloth tape all the way up to here. The wires were still fairly good. Ideally you would remove everything out, but I just don't have these pins, so there's nothing I can do. And there we go. And I have no reasons to believe that this ain't gonna last. So let's gonna connect everything and move into the next step. Another loom that was in the wrong place. I had to take these off to pull this, to pull the loom back here where it should be. The loom has been rubbing in there, but it's still okay. That's better. That's much better. And everything is back into place. Well, pump, etc. As you can see here, everything's back in place. Everything's routed properly. Everything's connected. And I could now give it a go. The problem is I can't do it because I need to put the car on the floor to put the weight on the struts. But also because we're gonna start the next video, which is for the parking sensors. A little bit of a silly video, I guess, but I'll just post it just in case if you guys are interested. So I'm gonna start that one, and only when I have the bumper back in place, wheels in place, everything in place, then I can carry on with this one. And the day is today. Unfortunately, not a very good day, but the show must go on and we can't stop. So the bumper has been just temporarily put in place. As you can see, it's nothing bolted in or anything like that. It's just hanging in here. Okay, it's just hanging in here, and I put it on purely so I could connect the front sensors. Video coming for that was just to make sure the front sensors were all working fine. The parking sensors, which I can tell you they are. There's still an issue on the rear ones, but we'll have to put the car on the floor, turn it around, because today is like this. So but as for the suspension, I'm happy that now I can put the bumper in place, bolt the bumper, put all the liners, etc, etc, and put the weight on the car, on the front wheels, on the front struts, and give it a go. That's it pretty much. Everything else is okay. I checked and double checked, everything is good, so it's time to just do that and then give it a go. And that's pretty much it. I think we are in a good position to have a fix. So pretty much everything back into place. This is an absolute nightmare, and the trays are broken, everything is cracked, everything is broken. There was already screws screwed into bits of plastic that shouldn't be. What a nightmare, but I managed to pretty much put it where it should be. The car is pretty much now into the wheel arch, as you can see, and maybe a little bit better to see on this side, but it's pretty much sank into the wheel arch, as you can see. So obviously we had the compressor disconnected, etc. And but what we're going to do now is start the car, lift the car, clear the codes, and see what happens. But I'm going to start the car while I'm going to leave the phone here. I'm going to start the car. I want to see if the car lifts okay, and then the moment of the truth is going to be when we try to lower the car, which is the bit that the car wasn't doing. So let me put the phone here somewhere, and let's kind of give it a try. So first thing, let's gonna turn the ignition on. Okay. Do you have any lights? Yeah, we do have loads. I can hear the compressor running. It's gonna try to lift the car. You guys might be seeing outside if he's lifting or not. Actually, let's gonna start. Actually, before that, it's gonna clear the codes on the suspension. I'm not sure if the car is raising or not, so that's gonna be somewhere right in control system. So the pump stopped. Don't know if the car raised or not. So all the codes are now passive and sporadic. Let's gonna clear this. Okay, so let's gonna come out of the unit. Let's gonna start the car. Okay. So I think the car is lowering. You might be able to see on the outside. It's definitely lowering, 100%. Obviously the car is a little bit tilted, but it is lowering. I can see the car lowering by looking at my toolbox and the edge of the bonnet. But obviously you guys are seeing the camera outside, so you can see what the car is doing. Let's see when it gets to the correct level. I don't know if this is gonna need some sort of a learning, or maybe not. I don't know. The car is lifting now at the front. It's definitely lifting. I'm not really sure what the car is doing. That light in there went off, the green one, and the car is now stopped. So let's try automatic. So automatic, nothing changes. Dynamic, it's going to lower, is 100% lowering. I'm not going to be able to see there. Probably not. So it's definitely, so that's off, it's not faulting. If you remember at the start, it was definitely faulting. Let's gonna go all the way up now. I think because the car is tilted in front on top of the ramps at the front, might not be doing what's supposed to be doing correctly. So I think it might worth to actually just take the car off the ramps, put it on a more flat surface, and then do all of these again. One of the things I noticed, guys, and obviously I've showed you how the pump was initially bolted into the bracket, is that I can barely, with the engine running, I cannot really hear the pump running, which was something that was very, very noticeable before, because the pump was not floating on the springs. All the vibrations, all the noise of the pump was just coming through the framework, through the chassis of the car, and you could definitely hear the pump running. Was really, really noticeable, very noticeable indeed. I can't hear the pump now, which is good. And yeah, the car is definitely lifting all the way up, so that's off. It's running absolutely perfect with no faults, but the ultimate test obviously is going to be a test drive and see how the car drives. But let me take the car off the ramps and we'll do a couple more up and downs so you can see on the camera what happens, and we'll go from there. And I've just reviewed the footage, and you can definitely see the car going up and down, no problem. So the issue before, and just repeating myself, was that the car would go all the way up and then would not drop. Obviously you've seen the problem, it was the exhaust valve stuck. But I'm gonna speed up this part of the video now. I'm just gonna lower and raise the car 2 or 3 times, and then we're gonna go for a test drive, make sure it's okay, it doesn't fault, but there's no reasons why it should fault. But we'll do a test drive anyway, and that's it. But now watch the car going up and down, and then we'll go for a test drive. And ready to go for a test drive. That light ESP should go off as soon as we start to drive, hopefully. As you can see, there is no faults on the dash. We're going to do a quick scan to the module again, just to make sure. There we go, no fault codes. Through the course of the test drive, I'm going to change from lift. We are on the lift position at the moment. We're going to change from lift comfort to automatic to dynamic. I'm just going to carry on changing to make sure no faults comes back. I don't think any faults will come back now, but you never know. So it's going to get ready, seat belt, and reverse, and let's go. Right, so thought she wouldn't stop. So if you guys remember, before I would drive for like 30 seconds or so and the fault would come straight away, if I was not in the lift module, in the lift mode. So we are in lift mode at the moment. I know you can't really see the MMI. Maybe if let me see if I can turn this around a tiny bit so you can see the, oh, I really cannot. Can I? Or can I? Hold on, let me see if I can help you out here a little bit. The phone is pretty much on this. Can you see a little bit of the MMI? Maybe, I don't know if you can or not. Let's carry on. Anyway, let's gonna go to comfort position, and the car tells me it's dropping, and these guys is when it used to fault. Okay, after a little bit the car would fault. So it still tells me it's still dropping. There we go, and it stopped. I don't know if you can see the screen, but the arrow going down, which is filled white when the car is doing adjustments, is now gone, and the car is in comfort mode. And now I'm going to go to automatic. I think the automatic mode doesn't really change anything. There we go, it just stays where the car is. Obviously it's changed the program for the suspension, but that's it. Now let's gonna go to dynamic mode. Dynamic mode tells me the car is lowering again, and I actually get, I don't know if you can see on the screen, I get, probably not, I get the green sign of the car dropping. I think this is to lower the car. There we go, and it stopped. The arrow, the symbol in there disappeared, and the screen is now in dynamic. So the dynamic, yeah, it stiffens the car 100%. So it lowers the car and the car gets stiffer. So yeah, you can feel on the suspension 100%. The car gets much stiffer. The suspension is hardened a little bit, and you can definitely feel it. Oh yeah, you can feel it. Any bump. Oh yeah, it looks like a sport suspension. If you, oh yeah, you can definitely feel it. Okay, so if you own none of this, you probably know all about it. For me, it's the first time. It's actually the first time driving a Audi A8, if I remember. Never drove one before. So now let's gonna go back to automatic, and the car tells me it's raising. I don't know if you can see the screen, probably no, but trust my words if you want. If you don't, too bad. So now we're gonna go that way. It still tells me he's lifting the car. And it stopped. And now I'm gonna select comfort mode. And nothing really changed. I think when you go from automatic to comfort, the only thing that changes is the electrical at the top, which changes the solenoid to allow the oil to move quicker or faster. It has nothing to do with the air suspension itself. The air suspension is mainly for the high. Obviously, if it also works along with the solenoids on top of the struts to change the suspension characteristics, but guys, it's working absolutely fine. I have no concerns whatsoever. The car would have faulted a long time ago before, so I have no concerns about the suspension. The suspension is working absolutely perfect, and I think that's it. And I didn't realize I've run out of space on the phone, and the video just cut. Right, as I was saying, I have no concerns about the suspension, and as you've seen, nothing really too difficult, no rocket science. If you try to understand a little bit how this system works, you can relatively easy identify the problems. As you've seen, in the end was two problems. One was a leaking strut, and the second, the actually problem with the pump. So that's it. And now I'm gonna have to get out and reverse the car. With no further ado, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I do hope you've learned something. Guys, if you still have any questions or any comments, you do know exactly how it works, just put them below. And like always, thanks for watching.